Hi, this is Rob with Whole Earth, and today's video is called Tale of Two Perspectives. And the two perspectives essentially are pro-natural medicine, anti-natural medicine. And the reason that I wanted to do this video, one is to respond to an article that was forwarded to me, which is very anti-natural medicine and specifically COVID-19 related. And I just wanted to talk about, in general, about information. And, if you're interested in critical thinking and really getting to the truth, you don't just want information that supports your foregone conclusions, the assumptions you've already made, your own bias, because we all have bias. And I know that my bias is, for example, is towards natural medicine. But that's based on years of research and study and a lot of facts. So when I see an article that is bashing natural medicine, it's not just a gut reaction, it's in this case really a reaction to disinformation and bad information, and just, I'm just wondering. And so I just want to tell you the article that I'm responding to is called COVID-19 Can Boosting Your Immune System Protect You? I could go ahead and put in their analysis, the answer is no. That's their foregone conclusion. And this article is from the BBC, which, as an American, my opinion of the BBC is generally positive. I grew up watching Doctor Who on BBC. A lot of, I know that's a different, that's BBC television. This is BBC Online. The two are probably, barely related. So the fact that it's under that BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation mantle may not mean very much. And in this case, what they've done is sort of a hack job on natural medicine as it relates to COVID-19. And so I want to dive into that article a little bit and talk about how they came to this conclusion and how they portray the information, but also talk about how we can all be looking for bias in the information that we read all the time. And I think this relates to a lot of the bad information that is just going around in relation to conspiracy theories and sort of wild, unsubstantiated claims and ideas that I see all the time, increasingly every day online. People are latching on to really bad ideas. And some of them, I think even the best lie is partially based in truth. The most believable lie, right, is somewhat based in truth. And in fact, if you go back to military intelligence and even political propaganda and manipulation, there's a concept called disinformation. And one of the best ways to hide something is to put out crazy random theories that are sort of like that truth. But these crazy conspiracy theories can very often overshadow that truth, because the conspiracy theory may very obviously, to someone with critical thinking and has really dived into it, not be true, but it is close to the truth. So it serves this purpose of obscuring other information. And so in this case, this is a hatchet job on natural medicine and COVID-19. It's hard to refute that because, in the industry I'm in marketing dietary supplements, you really can't make disease claims. And COVID-19 is a disease. It would be illegal for someone to sit here and say, here are the supplements you should take in marketing a supplement for a disease. However, my last video, the important announcement I was talking about was from the Weil Center for Integrative Medicine. Dr. Andrew Weil and his team, very, very credible people, a Harvard-trained medical doctor. And so when he's talking about the supplements that you should and shouldn't take for COVID-19 or to prevent coronavirus, that's very credible information. So I think that's the most important thing in information, is to consider the source. The point is to consider where the information is coming from. So Dr. Weil may be, for some people, too mainstream. Even in that article, he is acknowledging that if you have the disease COVID-19, for example, you shouldn't be taking elderberry, is their recommendation. Don't take elderberry if you have COVID-19. If you're trying to prevent coronavirus, then taking elderberry is very appropriate, says Dr. Weil and the Integrative Center on Integrative Medicine. So this is really specific advice. It seems pretty simple to me. Elderberry, great for preventing viral infection. If you have the disease COVID-19, don't take elderberry. I can live with that. I don't see why that would really be problematic, because if you have COVID-19, you should be in a hospital under medical care, and you should be taking what your doctor is prescribing to you. That's my opinion. And that's really just kind of like a legal medical fact too. So I mean, they're kind of like these ends of the spectrum that define the truth and the information, but we have to agree on some things. So some people are just way off, in my mind, in this end, and some people are way off in this end. I don't want to say the truth is always in the middle, but I think we always find the truth by considering a variety of sources of information and qualifying those sources. So I'm going to put the link to the BBC article that I'm disagreeing with, as well as the Weil Center recommendations that I am recommending and agreeing once again. And then I'm also going to put a link to a blog post where I'm further getting into the immune system and how wrong they are about natural medicine not being able to support the immune system. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about was a study from different journal over here on fulvic acid and pomegranate juice as an antiviral, which I've been talking about. I may have to do a separate video on that. If I do, I will call that COVID-19 Immune Response Part 2, because I think to some extent, looking at the clock here, I've already been talking for 7 minutes, but I did want to get into this article from the BBC. So I'm going to, on my blog, tear that apart a little bit more, because I'm looking just right here. A lecture I was just listening to from in these days of social distancing. Right, we have to listen to all our lectures online, and this is from a medical doctor talking about the different white blood cells of the body. Neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes, lymphocytes, and how these different white blood cells are basically the police force of the body. So if you look at the different functions of these different types of white blood cells and how they function in the body, there are different natural substances that support them, right? So there are lots of different things that that people could take to support their immune system in different ways. One of the main, if I call it an argument, is really not an argument at all in the BBC article, is that it's wrong to say you want to boost your immune system. And the idea is that boosting your immune system would be bad because you could create an overactive immune system, which is just like even more of an oversimplification than they're claiming the people marketing supplements for the immune system make. I mean, the article is just really, really bad. And so I don't want to ramble on and on about it too much. If you want to look below, there'll be a link in the description of this video to the article I'm talking about on the BBC, the COVID-19 Can Boosting Your Immune System Protect You, from the BBC. Below that will be my link to the Weil Center recommendations, which I think are really good and credible. And then below that, you'll see my blog post on botanicalnutrition.org, where I will be specifically responding to the COVID-19 article on BBC, which I think is just terrible. But I want to specifically refute some of the points that they make, although they don't even really make points. I mean, it's just terrible. So that's the thing. If somebody wants to refute the idea of using natural medicine for this or that, specific information is really good. When you go into that Weil Center list of recommendations, they talk about taking vitamin D. Vitamin D3 is very important for the immune system, for a lot of different functions in the body. But if you have COVID-19, if you have that disease, you should stop taking vitamin D3. That is the specific Weil Center recommendation. It's clear as day in that article. Okay, so I blogged about that. That blog post is there, that important announcement. Posted that online, and then, just doing some other things. Somebody on our team said, you got to look at the comments. So I go back and I look at the comments, and someone responds to my article and says, am I supposed to take vitamin D? I don't know. I'm confused. They found what I thought was just in a few sentences, very clear cut information from a Harvard trained medical doctor. I don't know how you draw somebody a picture, like if you're trying to prevent disease and for general good health, yes, take vitamin D3. If you have the disease, COVID-19, no, don't continue taking vitamin D3. And the fact that this question is even an issue is mind-blowing to me. I just can't believe that person would not be putting down the supplements at that point and getting to a hospital. I mean, people are dying in increasing rates from this disease. If you have this disease, please don't be at home Googling what vitamins to take. On the other side, prophylactically, preventively, every day of your life, because good health, when you're not sick and you don't have a disease, is something you have to nurture every day of your life. So I take supplements every day of my life. I'm talking about this study that I'm going to circle back to, and it's an important point about some of the supplements and things, and many of the things we do to supplement and to support our health are not necessarily pills. So food medicine and plant medicine is an important part of this. So keep talking about that study. That's going to have to be part 2, where I talk about fulvic acid and pomegranate juice, which are 2 things that I take every day, but it's not in a pill form that I'm taking it. I'm taking the fulvic acid as a liquid in the form of fulvic minerals with other things, and then the pomegranate juice just, comes as pomegranate juice. It's also available in a capsule. You can do it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the idea that we have to stay healthy every day is a concept that people are starting to come to terms with now that there is this widespread outbreak of COVID-19. So people tend to think of a specific, I've got to keep from getting this. What about the flu? I mean, pomegranate juice and fulvic acid are very active against the flu. People die from the flu. You don't want to get sick, period. You want to stay healthy, whether we're in a COVID-19 crisis or not. So this is the question we all should be asking. What can I do to support my health naturally every day? And the last thing I'm going to say, what you can do to support your health naturally every day, apparently, is not read the BBC articles on health, because they are based on less than reputable information. And so I'll have the specifics of that on the blog, botanicalnutrition.org. Look for all these links. Even the article that I think is crap is linked to in the article in the description and below this video, because I know it's important to have a very open and honest debate. So I'm going to rip this article, tell you why it is completely wrong, but read the article for yourself. If you read this article and it's talking about snake oil and here's a history of snake oil and how it was marketed, fast forward to the modern day and people are recommending kombucha, and it's one of those intellectually dishonest leaps that people make. Like, people were marketing snake oil, people are now marketing kombucha. Both must be bad. Anything that's being marketed for your health other than a pharmaceutical drug must be a lie and must be bad. And it just shows an incredible amount of bias. It's incredibly poorly written. And one thing they could have done, I don't know what the British equivalent of PubMed is, but here in the United States, and you know what, I'll put this link in the description as well. You just go to pubmed.gov. It's one of the easiest ways to research peer-reviewed journal articles and things like that. You go to pubmed.gov and you search immune system natural doesn't really mean anything in a scientific kind of. So you could say immune system or cytokines, elderberry, neutrophils, vitamin C, because the white blood cells in the body contain 50 to 100 times more vitamin C than the blood and the lymph that surround them. And there's a reason, and you can actually see that immune cells that contain more vitamin C are more efficient at protecting the body. And I've got a reference for that too, but you know what? I'm going to save that for part 2 of this, and I'm going to assume that part 2 is for people who want to dive a little bit deeper into the references. And let's all be on the same page in that we want to be very careful in listening to good information. Let's make sure that we're listening to information that really doesn't just support our foregone conclusions, but if we want to get to the heart of the matter, let's look at the science, let's dig a little deeper, and let's look at both sides. So there you have it, a tale of two perspectives.